Hello everyone, good morning. In today's session, we're going to start off with value sets and flex fields. So we're going to cover the basics today, the value sets, flex fields, and the lookups. And there is one more topic called functional setup manager, which I skipped because Ravi is going to cover this in the functional training sessions. So you guys will have functional overview sessions on Saturday and Sunday, as I mentioned in the introduction sessions. So you can attend them. And in those sessions, Ravi will cover, in one of the sessions, he will cover functional setup manager. And we're going to talk about these points today, the value sets, flex fields, and the configuration level of lookups. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. And these three components, the value sets, flex fields, and the lookups, they work pretty much the same way as in eBusiness Suite. It's just that in terms of flex fields, you've got an additional flex field type called extensible flex field. So in EBS, you have a descriptive flex field and key flex field, right? But in ERP Cloud, you've got one more additional flex field called EFF. So we cover all those three. And the way we understand these three components is we log into the application, we create value sets of different types. You can create value sets of 5 types. We'll create value sets of each of those types, and then we will use those value sets to configure the flex fields. I'll explain the use case. We get into the screen, we configure flex fields, whether it's VFF, EFF, or KFF, and we activate them and deploy them to the application. And after we deploy them to the application, we will verify how the flex field looks like. And when you create a transaction, we'll also see where it gets stored, in what columns the information gets stored. Okay. So value set, as you all know, you can go through these notes. In simpler terms, it is used to, again, it depends on the type of value set that you used. In most of the cases, it is used to give a sort of a drop down for a user. So for example, if you enable a couple of flex field segments, and in those flex field segments, if user want to select any value, what you do, if they have to see a drop down, you will achieve it by attaching a value set. So the way it works is you create a value set. You might create it as an independent, dependent, or a subset or a table type, and that will give a list of values, and you will attach the value set to the flex field segment, so that when user looks at that segment in the application, they will be able to see a drop down, and user can pick and choose the value. So there are 5 types of value sets that user can create, or that we can create in the application. You can create it as a format only value set, which means you can only put in restrictions in terms of format. Say, for example, you can say that only a number is allowed in this segment, or you can put in a number restrictions, you can put in a format restrictions as well, or you can put in length restrictions as well. Okay. So if you want to put in restrictions only in terms of format, you will use this. This type of value set does not give user a list of values, but all other value sets give user a list of values. And you can create an independent value set, which is nothing but a list of values, a value set you will create, and you will add in few values as a list. And based on independent value set, you can create a dependent value set. This is like a classic example that everyone is aware of is a country and a city. So the way dependent value set works is that the values you have in a dependent set gets filtered based on what you select in independent value set. And you've got another value set type called subset. This is like you will pick up a few of the entries you have in independent value set and you create a subset. So as you can make out from the name itself, it is nothing but a subset of values you have in independent value set. So if you have 10 departments, say for example, you have a department value set wherein there are 10 departments, and you create a subset value set, and in that subset value set, you include few of them. Say for example, you want to create 2 value sets, one value set to include all the departments, you create it as independent, and you want to create another value set which will say include only the admin related departments. So in the admin related departments, those will also be part of the main value set, but you create admin related department value set as a subset one, And when you create it as a subset value set, you will be able to pick up values from an independent value set and use them. And you can also create a table dependent value set wherein you can directly pull the values from database tables and display it. So what we do is we log into the application and we create value sets of each of these types, and we will use them in the FlexField configuration as well. So how to create a value set? To create a value set, you have to go to manage value sets task. So I've logged into the application as fusion.tech user, and I go into setup and maintenance. And you go to the tasks ribbon, go to global search, and type search for manage value sets task. And in here, in this particular page, you can search for the existing tasks, existing value sets, or you can create a new one. Okay, and we will create a few value sets here. So I'll just replace FT13s with FT14. We're going to create a few value sets now, and we're going to use these value sets in the FlexField segments that we're going to create later on, or that we are going to enable. So let's first start off with format only value set. Create a new one. You click on the plus icon there and create a new one. Give a description if you want, and you can select the module. You can select any module for that matter. You can select application core or any specific module. Application core or application common. It's a common lookup, common value set. And the validation type, this is what I was talking about. So you can create 5 types of value sets. A view object has been added as a new option. I'm not particularly sure what you can achieve with this. But these are the 5 types of value sets that you can create. Format only, independent, dependent, subset, and a table. We're going to create value sets of each of these types, and we will be using them in the FlexField configuration. First, let's start off with format only value set. Data type is character, and you select the value subtype as text, and you put in the restriction here. So I want to ensure that, so I'm creating a value set now, and I'm going to attach this value set to a FlexField segment. And in that FlexField segment, I want user to enter only a number. I don't want him to enter anything else apart from a number. So how do I put in a restriction like that? I can say only number here. So I can say numeric digits only. So when I say numeric digits only, this will ensure that only a number will be entered by the user. So it validates it. If user tries to type in a varchar value, it will error out. So you can also select a number data type here. Value data type is number, and you can just leave it like that. Okay, so value data type is number, and you can leave it like that. It's a format only value set. So this will just validate whether the value that user is entering is a number or not. And you have precision and scale. So these two are like precision, total number of digits user can enter, including dot and the decimal places. Scale is the number of digits that can follow decimal. Okay, so if it's 100.0000, so the number of characters is 6, precision will be 6, and the scale will be 2. Okay, so we can leave them blank. You can click on save and close.
Hi, this is Arjun. If you want to make it as a radio button, that same FlexField. So,
if you want to make it as a
radio button, that FlexField.
Now we are configuring the value sets at the moment. FlexField segments, we haven't come to it yet. We are configuring the value sets now.
Oh, okay. I thought there itself any option is there to make it as a radio button.
No. I think you might have that option in the value in the flex field configuration, because you want to make a flex field segment a radio button, right? Not a value set. So we're configuring value sets, and probably we'll see if there is any option to make it as a radio button in the flex field segments. Okay, let's create a new value set. And this time we create it as an independent value set. And we'll create a country's value set, which will store country's independent value set, and we'll select we'll enter 2 countries into that. And we'll create a dependent value set, and we're going to store cities in that. And when you create a dependent value set, it'll ask us to select an independent value set on which you want to create this as a dependent. And we'll select country value set for that. And for each country, we'll enter a couple of values into this dependent value set. Like we select India, we enter a couple of the cities in that. And we select USA and we enter two cities in that. And then we create another another independent value set to hold the departments, just to show you how the subset value set goes. So we create one independent value set wherein we store the departments, all the departments, and then we create a subset value set out of it based on the independent value set, and we show you how you can pick up values from an independent value set. Subset and dependent value set both are different. Yes, there is or you have to pick an independent value set when you're creating a dependent and a subset value set, but they work in different ways. Subset means a few of the values from independent value set. Dependent means the values in the dependent value set will change based on what you select in independent. Okay, so both are different. So just to show you how it works, we will create another subset value set, and we'll show you how to pick values from independent value set and include it. And we'll be creating a table value set as well to pull the employee information. So let's go ahead and create the country's value set. And yes, I copied it there already. Select the module and select the type as independent value set. And it's a character. And you can select the type as text here. Maximum length, you can mention it as 30 characters. And you can click on save. And the moment you save it, you will see that this button gets enabled. It gets, till the time you don't save it, it doesn't get enabled. And once it is enabled, click on manage values. And this screen will show you the values that are part of this independent value set. Okay, you can search for the existing ones, or you can create a new one. We don't have any countries yet in this value set. So let's go ahead and add a couple of them. Click on the plus icon, and it gives you an option to add a value. Let's say India. And you can say USA or US and save and close. So we have created country's value set with 2 values, and we're going to create yes. Okay. Yeah, we're going to create a dependent value set now, and we're going to store cities in this dependent value set. Let's create a new one. And it's a dependent value set. And whenever you say dependent value set, it will ask you to pick up a data type. Select it as character. And since you have selected it as a dependent value set, you could see that independent value set is enabled, and you need to pick up an independent value set for this. So you select the value subtype as text, enter the number of characters as 30, and you select the country's value set that you have created earlier. You can search for FT14. And you can go ahead and save it. This button gets enabled, and you can add in cities now. Click on the plus icon to add the values. and let's add Hyderabad, and that belongs to India. So you click on the drop down, and this is where you link the values in the dependent value set to the value in an independent value set. So I am entering a city called Hyderabad, which belongs to India. So that's why I'm selecting independent value as India here. So let's add one more city in there. Let's say Delhi and select India. And let's add in a couple of cities for USA as well. So let's say New York. Yeah. And select country as US. And let's add in one more city. And select the country as US. So what are we doing here? We have created dependent value set now, and we have selected countries as an independent value set. And since we selected countries, we are able to see the countries you have in that value set here in the drop down. And whenever you add an entry into dependent value set, you will attach it to a value in an independent value set. So now what happens is, we are going to create a DFF. And in the DFF, we're going to enable a couple of segments. We're going to enable country and city segments. And you will notice that, and to that country and city segments, we're going to attach to the country value set that we created earlier and the city's value set. And once we deploy the flex field, you will notice that when user selects a country, the cities in the second drop down will get filtered on based on the country that is selected. Okay, so that's how the dependent value set works. So the moment based on whatever selection is done in the independent value set, that will filter out the results that will be appearing as a dependent value set. Okay, click on save and close.
Yeah, I think there are some other options like on the start date and sort order, external data source. Could you explain that?
These are like, so what do you think this will do? Enable will do. So when you add values to the value set, if you don't want to enable them, say for a time being, if you want to disable a value so that they don't appear in the flex field or they don't appear in the screens wherever that value set is used, you can uncheck this without deleting it. So one way to take away this value is, for example, I don't want to show Chicago under US for say 1 minute or say 1 month or say for a fixed timeline. In such case, what I can do, I can delete this and I can add this city later on. Or what else I can do? I can just tick this box, uncheck this so that it becomes disabled. And when you disable an entry, it doesn't show up in the application. And the same thing applies for start date and end date also. So only if you can end date an entry and you can add in a new entry. Okay, say for example, if you can, for every entry you can put in a start date and end date, and this particular entry will be effective only between those dates. Sort order is when you attach this value set, when you attach this, in what order you want them to be sorted. So so for India, you have two options, right? Hyderabad and Delhi. Do you want Delhi to appear first? Okay. And you want Hyderabad to appear second. So you can put in a sort order there. Okay. So I'm not particularly sure about the external data source. And I don't know what it means. Does that help?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. And we go ahead and save and close. Let's create another independent value set, and we will be storing our departments in there. Click on the plus icon. So we are creating this to store departments. It's an independent value set that we're going to create again. Application common, and it's an independent value set. Data type is character, and you can select the value subtype as text, and you can enter it as 30. Save. Go to manage values and enter in few departments there. Like say for example HR, sales, etc. Save and close. And we're going to create a subset value set. I just want to show you how this subset value set works. So this subset is used in case you want to create a value set with a few of the values you have in an independent value set. So in this independent department value set, we have say 5 departments, right? We have 5, but let's say you have 50 departments in there. Out of those 50 departments, let's say there are only 5 departments or 10 departments related to admin, okay, related to administration. So you need to create a different value set to capture only the admin related ones. So in such cases, you can create a subset value set. So you can go ahead and create a subset value set, save and close. And when you create a subset value set, as expected, it will ask you to select the independent value set based on which you want to create this as a subset. You will select the independent department value set. And once you do that, when you go into values section, it will not give you an option to add values. Instead, in subset, you can only pick up the values that are there in the independent value set. Okay, so it's just that what is a subset? So if you have full circle and if you're taking out only a sum of the values in that circle and creating a subset, that is called as a subset value set. Okay, create a new one. Application common and create it as a subset value set. And you select the type. You select the department value set. Save. And you go into manage values. And in the manage values, what do you see in here? You don't see a plus icon. Instead, what you see is a select and add. It is not adding a new value. You will not be able to add a new department to this subset value set. Instead, you can pick and choose a departments from the independent value set that you tagged. So if I click on this, it will show me the values that are there in the independent value set that you have selected. So you have selected independent value set, and in that there are 5 departments, right? So that's why it is showing all 5 departments. You select only the admin related ones. Say for example, HR and administrator, you select those 2 and click on apply. And those 2, so out of 5, we are selecting the admin departments and including them as part of this subset value set. So out of 5, we are selecting only 2, which is nothing but a subset. So that's why it's called as a subset value set. Click OK.
Prasad, I have one doubt here. So I can put it from different independent set also, right? In this case.
Yeah, there is only one independent set you can tag. You cannot tag a subset value set to multiple independent value sets. It has to be a specific independent value set. It is basically like when you have to take out only a subset of entire set, that's when you create this. Okay, you cannot pull values from multiple independent sets. Okay. And the last option is what if you want to pull the data from a database table. For such scenarios, you can create a table dependent value set. Say for example, you want to create employees information. Okay, so you can create it as a table dependent value set to pull people's information or person's information for that matter. Select application common. Select the validation type as table. And the validation type is value data type is character. And if you scroll down in the from clause, you can enter the table from which you want to pull the information. Say for example, you want to pull the person details. It will be available in for all people you have table. Or if you want to pull say the person names information. If you want to pull the person names information, it will be available in per person names _f. So you will include the table name from which you want to pull the information. You can include an alias name as well. And you can also include multiple tables here if you want. That is also allowed. You can enter multiple tables. And if you use multiple tables in the from clause, in the where clause, you will have to join them. It's exact same way that you define a table dependent value set in eBusiness Suite. Okay, and you can you can select the column name. So from this table, what is the column you want to pick up? Say, for example, you want to pick up the person first name or person last name. You type in the person last name. This should be the exact column name. So if you don't know the exact column names, you can just Google out the table name, go to Google and look at the table details. And if you look at the table details, that will show you. Okay, so if you look at the table details, that will give you the column information. It's taking time to load the definition of the table. And this is a per person names table. And from here, you can pick up the column names, whatever you want to pull. I want to pull the last name. So I enter the last name here and I tab out. And the moment I tab out, you could see that the data type is already pulled. So if you look at this last name, what is the data type associated with it? It's a varchar 150 character length. And that details are automatically pulled from the database. And say, for example, there could be many Johns or many employees with the same last name, right? So to help user pick up the right employee, you might probably want to print the entire display name, which is nothing but a first name plus last name combination. So if you scroll down, you have got a display name as well, which is nothing but a combination of first name and a last name, usually. You can enter that as a description column so that it helps users to pick up the right employee if there are multiple employees with the same last name. So all you do is enter the column name and tab out. It will pull the definition of it. And then you have ID column. This is again optional. You don't need to fill it in. If you define a value set like this, and if you attach this value set to a flex field segment, when user clicks on the drop down, they will be able to see the last name and the display name as a description column. And when they create, when they save it, the last name will get saved in the attribute columns. Okay. But instead of last name, if you want ID to be stored, ID of the person to be stored, say for example, then what you can do, you can populate something into the ID column as well. Okay. So what is ID? You can probably use a person ID as an ID column. So what will happen if you add in person ID as an ID column? Whenever you attach this value set, user will select last name, but what gets stored in the backend is a person ID of that person, not the last name. If you don't fill this in, the last name will get stored. It's up to you. Okay. And you can put in the start date column or an end date column, and you can add in the join conditions here if you want. Say, for example, you are using two tables, per person names table and say per all people F. You can give alias name to the second table as well. And in the join conditions, what do you say? ppf dot person ID equal to ppn dot person ID. And since the person ID column exists in both the tables, you will have to mention the alias name there as well. So you'll have to say ppn dot there, and you will have to say ppn dot, and you will have to say ppn dot here as well. Okay, so this is how you add the details. And if you want the results to be sorted by person number or by last name, you can do that as well. So you can say order by ppn last name, ascending order. You don't need to type in ascending order. Ascending will be the default order. If you want them to be sorted by descending order, in descending order, you can enter it like this. Otherwise, you can just leave it like this. So what are we doing here? We're pulling information from a database tables. You can include multiple of them, and you need to join them in case you have multiple tables. It's absolutely fine to create a value set with one table itself, and you can pull the columns that you need. You can pull the column you need, and you can also add in the additional description column if you want. If you want to make it easy for user to pick up the right column, and you can also add in ID column as well. And all you have to do is save and close.
Yeah. In where clause, if you want to add it one more condition, assume that the employee want to filter with the even employee or employee joining date.
Okay, so you will go in there and you will add in and condition there. You will say and you will put in PPF dot or whatever join condition you want to add in, you can add in the condition here. You can add in any number of conditions you want here.
But as like personal ID, so can't you add it one more like, so if joining date, I need to fix it. It's a static one or like dynamic?
You cannot pass in dynamic values to a table value set. It has to be a fixed value. But what you can do is you can write in a condition like this. You can say effective start date, or you can say sys date between PPF dot effective start date and PPF dot effective end date. So what this will do is this will ensure that this join condition will ensure that it will pull only the employees who are effective as on today. So sysdate will give you a system date, and you are checking if the system date is between the effective start date and effective end date of the employee. So this will ensure that only the employees who are active as on today will be pulled. Okay. So if you want to put in
as like personal ID, can't we give it multiple fields? The personal ID you again that the dynamic, I think. So if you want to pass it another things also.
No, I'm not able to understand. So we have two tables here, and I'm joining those two tables with a common column. So these two tables have a person ID as a common column. So I'm linking these two tables with this join condition. You can do this.
Yeah, my doubt is,
and if you want to hardcode
two more common column.
Okay, you can add them as well. You can say and PPF dot second column equal to PPN dot second column. You can add in as many columns as you want, as many join conditions as you want, like this. Okay. So there's no restriction in terms of how many join conditions you can enter. You can enter as many conditions as you want here. You can hardcode the values, but one thing that is not possible is you cannot pass in a dynamic values to this value set.
Fine. My doubt is like in ID column you have given the personal ID only one ID column. So can we add it multiple, like if it is similar to like on second table?
In these column names, whether it is value, description or ID, you can select only one column. In the join conditions, you can add as many join conditions as you want. It says column name, right? So that means you can select only one column. Because this information is going to get stored in a database column, and in one column you cannot store multiple values, right? So you can store only one value. So that's why in these columns you can add in only one column, but in the where clause you can select as many columns, as many join conditions as you want.
Yeah.
Okay, is that fine? Yeah. And we've created the value sets now. Let's go ahead and start off with the flex fields. So first of all, let me explain. Yes.
If you would like to pass a value from, dependent value sets when we are creating a dependent value sets. So how can we do that?
So you're talking about passing value to the dependent value set from independent value set, right?
Yeah, if I have two value sets, I need to assign these two value sets to the two fields. Depends upon the selection of first value set. So the second value set should.
We're going to do the same thing now. We're going to explore that in the DFF. So we will enable a DFF wherein you see how a dependent value set works.
Oh, okay.
You will have your answer in the next 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So what is a flex field? It is basically an option given by Oracle to add in additional placeholder columns on any particular page. Say, for example, for any page that you visit, say, for example, let's go into a specific page in the application. Okay, so let's say, let's go into a manage job screen. So in HCM, you will be creating jobs, right, in HCM application. So where do you do it from? You go into setup and maintenance, and from the setup and maintenance, you go to the global search here. And from the global search, you will, in the global search option, you will search for manage job. So when you go into this screen, you will be able to create jobs in the HCM application using this task. So when you're creating a job, how do you create it manually? You click on the plus icon here and you add in the information. Say, for example, let's create it as a test job. And in this details page, you will enter the details of the job and you will go ahead and save it, right? Save and submit it. Yes, you can create a job with all the fields by filling in information into these fields. But let's say that your client has a requirement to store some additional values on this page. Okay, so apart from these 15-20 fields that Oracle has given by default, client wants to capture some additional information on the job. Let's say, for example, on every job that is created in the application, let's say the client wants to store a combination of a country and a city so that people know, we can identify where that job is valid or in what location the job is valid for. Just a hypothetical scenario, like on a job creation screen, you don't have an option to tag the location by default. But say, for example, your client has a requirement to tag a job to a particular location. Okay, so when they create a job, they want to select a country and a city combination, and probably that job might be valid in that particular country and in that city. But that ability to select but country and city is not available by default here, right? So you need to enable those additional fields so that user can pick up the values, can select country and a city as and when they are creating a job. In such case, wherever there is a need to add in additional placeholder columns or additional fields which are not available out of the box, you will be using a descriptive flex field for that. And there are again different types of flex fields. Okay, so the flex fields are additional set of placeholders you can enable as per the client requirement. Say, for example, if it's an airline manufacturer, they might want to store some additional attributes related to their industry on those pages, on any of the pages, right? So, say, for example, on this job page, client wants us to enable a DFF so that he can select country and a city in which this job is valid. How do you do it? There are two ways you can. So how do you do it? You want to enable flex field on this particular page, on the job creation page. So you go back to the application. So we have created a value sets by searching for value sets task. And now we want to enable the flex field. And we will start off with a descriptive flex field. So you search for manage descriptive. You don't need to type in the entire string. Manage descriptive flex fields. Get into that. And you can search for the flex field here. And you can search with job, because I want to enable the flex field on job screen. So you search for job. I could see that there are multiple flex fields on the job screen. They are flex fields related to different job entities. This is for job, this is for job family, and this is for other job related entities. So I need to enable a flex field segment on this. And if you look at this, the deployment status is in red. So by default, when you look at the DFF here, you will be able to see the DFF name, flex field code, and you will be able to see the deployment status. Usually it has to be green, but someone would have edited this and didn't deploy the flex field properly, or there are some errors in the flex field configuration. So what do? We usually it will be deployed, and you get into this, you edit the flex field, and you enable the segments in the flex field. So let's get into it, and let's see what the error is first, because otherwise we will not be able to deploy our flex field. So let's take off this global segments. So the way global segments work is, if you enable something here, if you enable something in a global segment, those will become visible in the application directly. Okay, so as and when you create a job, so if you enable country and city as global segments, whenever you come into this job details screen, they will be appearing directly here like country and a city. Okay, so that is like enabling segments as a global segments. They will appear by default. But that is not how we usually enable DFS. We usually enable them as a context-based segments. So what context-based segments means is, you will be able to see a context field in here, context field, and in that context field you will be able to see the context that you have defined. And once you select the context, only when you select the context that you define, you will be able to see the additional fields that you have, additional segments that you have configured. So you can enable additional segments in two ways. You can enable them as global segments, which will appear here directly, or you can enable them as context-based segments, and those will appear only when you click on the drop-down. Okay, so for now, I think there is some problem here. Context is also not appearing. Okay, let me log into the application from this screen once. Usually you should see a field called context in here, and when you click on the context, you should be able to see the values. Let me go to the manage job screen from here. Create a new one. Okay, so there seems to be some problem in the flex field deployment, because otherwise what you usually see is a context value, and when you click on the context, you should be able to see the segments or the context that are enabled. So one of the students tried to make some changes in the DFF, and he would have left it midway, because of which you are seeing an error in the deployment status. So let's try to correct the error first, and then we will probably deploy it. So we go ahead and click on manage context, search for them. There are many contexts in there, so what I do was I will delete everything. Okay, so it has been edited. Okay, so going into each and every, so you need to first delete the segments, and then you will have to delete the context. So I don't think it's a feasible solution now. What we'll do is we'll try to deploy the flex field and see what is the error that we're getting. Save and close. Let's try to deploy the flex field. You see that the deployment status changed to editing now. We haven't done anything yet. We could see that there is one error. Let's see what that error is. Okay, so this is one of the common mistakes that students do. What does it say? If you copy this error, in this particular value set, CC underscore 1234. Okay, so when you define segments, you can enable range. You can mention high and low. So what has been done is one of the segment has been marked as high without a low segment, without a low value. So whenever you do that, you get this error message and the flex fields will not get deployed. So when you enable a range, if for one segment you select a value as high, there should be another segment for which you should select a value of low. If you do a half of the work, it will result in this error. Okay, so let's get into the, okay, not the family attributes. We're trying to resolve the error we have with the flex field, and then we get into the actual topic. So we search for this. Let's do a blind search. It's okay. There are only a few, and this is a value set. This is a context that has got a problem. CC underscore 1234. Edit it, and if you look at the first type, the job type, edit it, and for the job type, you see that the student has selected a range type as high. So when you select a range type as high for one of the segment, you need to, for another segment, you have to select the range type as low. So if you select only one of the segment as high, that will stop the flex field from getting deployed. So what you can do is you can take them off. Save and close, and you can take off the context as well. Okay. And if you try to deploy the flex field, it should go through fine. Getting some seeded error now. It's just unable to locate a segment on which this segment depends. So what we do was rather than fixing this up, let's see if we have a grade. We have a flex field on the grade. Yes, you have got a flex field on the grade. So what we do is instead of picking up a location, we'll switch it. We'll go to the grade. I don't think it makes sense to waste any more time on fixing the flex field errors. So search for manage grade, and there's a small change in the use case now. So instead of enabling a flex field on a manage job screen, we'll enable it on manage grade screen. And to create a grade, you have to just click on the plus icon and create it. And to create a grade, you will have to enter the name, code, and few other details. And apart from these details, say for example, if client wants to store a combination of city and country on the grade, what you can do is you can enable them using a flex field. There is a flex field attached to the grade. You can see it here. There is a descriptive flex field on the grade. And I can enable segments. I can enable segments in this flex field so that they get displayed here. And there are two ways you can enable segments, right? So if you get into this, if you get into the grade descriptive flex field, there are two ways you can enable it. You can enable them as global segments. And if you enable them as global segments, if you enable country and city here, they will show up directly here. As if it's given by Oracle. Or you can enable them as context-based segments, or you can enable them as context-based segments. And when you enable them as context-based segments, you will be able to see the context here. And once you select the context, the fields that you have in the context will get displayed there. Okay. So we usually don't use global segments. We use a context-based DFF segments. But if required, you can also enable global segments as well. So how do you create a new context and enable segments? You go to manage context, and you can search for the contexts that are available here. You can create a new one. There is one at the moment. You can create a new one. And you can say FT14 grade context, or you can just say FT14 context. That's fine. And all you do is just save here so that this plus symbol gets enabled. So you're creating a context here, and then you can add the segments. But for the segments, this plus symbol won't get enabled until you save this button. Click on save, and you click on the plus icon. And this is where you create a segment. Let's add in country as a first segment, and select the data type as character. And once you select the character, you will see the column in which this information is going to get stored. So a DFF's descriptive flex fields information will get stored in attribute columns. So after you enable this, if you create a grade and if you save it, that information that you are entering on the flex field segments will get stored in attribute columns of the base table. So base table for grades is per grades. So in the per grades table, there would be out of the box, there will be attribute columns available. And in those attribute columns, the information will be stored. And where will the country get stored? It gets stored in attribute 1 column. And you can select the value set. And in the value set, we're going to select the one that we created just now. So we created a value set for country, right? So select FT14 country, search for FT14 country. Okay, so FT14 independent countries value set, pick it up. And you can mark it as required if you want. Or I would recommend students to leave this as optional, because if you mark it as required, it will force everyone to enter a country, whoever wants to create a grade. Let's not force other users to use what you are defining, right? So leave it as optional parameters, but if required in real time, you can tick this box to make it as a required segment. And you don't need to do anything. You can set up a display size of 15 maybe. And you can click on save and close. You have an option to save it, save and close, and you have an option to create a new one. So since I want to create another segment, I'll click on save and create another. That will give me an option to define a new segment. So I can enter city now. And I'll select the data type as character. It gets stored in attribute 2. And I'll select the city value set here. Select the city's value set, click OK. And you don't need to do anything in here. Just select the display type as 15 or display size as 15. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Click on save and close. So what did we do here? We have defined a new context and we have enabled 2 segments in this context, country and a city. And to these segments, we have attached the value sets we created. For country, we have attached the independent country value set. For city, we have attached the city's value set. And you can go and save and close. And for this change to take effect, for this FT14 context to take effect that you have defined just now, you will have to deploy the flex field. So click on save and close one more time. What do you see in there? The deployment status is edited. So this flex field is in edited status at the moment. And till the time you deploy this flex field, you won't see the changes. Okay, so click on deploy flex field. Okay, so you see that deployment completed successfully. And what does it say? It says start a new session of the runtime application to view the changes. So what this means is if you want to see the changes that are deployed, you have to start a new session. So you come out of this screen and you log out from the session and you log in back again. And we go back to the manage grade screen again. So you sign out, confirm, and sign in back again. And you go to manage, go to setup and maintenance. And you go to the global search screen and you search for manage grading here. Go to manage grades and create a new one. And to create a new one, yeah, you can say FT14. Test DFF grade. Okay. And you see here, so if you look at the screen, we have enabled, you don't see the country and city by default. That's because we didn't enable them as global segments. Instead, we have enabled them as context-based segments, right? So you click on this context and now you see the new context that we created showing up here. So you click on the FT14 context and you will see two segments that we created that we included as part of this context. And to this country, we have attached country value set, city, we have attached city value set, right? So you select the country and you select India. And what options you are seeing here, whatever countries you have in the country's value set are showing up here. And depending on what country you select, if you go to a city value set, the values get automatically filtered. You don't need to do anything explicitly. Okay, so I can select Hyderabad. And if I change the country, the moment I change the country, if I say select US, if you click on the drop down, you will notice that the cities have got filtered down based on the country that you have selected. Okay, so this is how you attach value sets to the segments, and this is how you enable a context-based DFF segments on any particular screen. And all you have to do is go ahead and submit it. Okay, so let's see if it has been created. FT14 test DFF grade. You could see that the grade is created. And if you want to see where this information is stored, you can it will be stored in the attribute columns. So if you go back to the home page, if you want to see where this information is stored in the backend, if you go to tools, and if you go to reports, and under tools you have an option called reports and analytics. Click on it. Don't do anything in this screen, just click on browse catalog. That will take you to reports and analytics work area. And in here, you can click on this. So this is a BI server. And whenever you want to query something in ERP cloud database, you will be doing it from here. I'll be explaining this screen when we do the BIP reports module. For now, all I want to do is just run a query and show you where that information is stored. So if you click on the drop down, you can select under published reporting, you can select data model. This is how you can query the database. and you add in SQL query, select one in there. And the data source you can select as FSCM or HCM or CRM depending on what application you want, what application table you want to query. I want to query grades table, which is a part of HCM. So I select application DB HCM there, and I will search the grades table. I'll say per_grades. Okay. And if I go to the data tab and view the information, so you will add your query in the diagram. And since you said select star from per grades, it has pulled all the columns. And if you want to run this query and fetch the data, you have to go to data tab and click on view. By default, output will be displayed in tree view. So change it to table view so to see the information in a tabular format. And you will have an option to search for the grade by name. So you can say where name equal to FT14, or you can just say where name like FT14 percentage. Do a search for the data, and you could see that there is only one job, and which is what we have created just now. So you can replace it with the exact name now. Say equal to the grade name, and you can query the information. And what do you see in there? If you watch the data that is stored in the tables, yes, this is a grade code, and this is a grade name. It is created as an active status. But if you look at the attribute category, it stores the context that you have defined, and you look at attribute columns, those attribute columns capture the values that you have selected from the front end. So this is how you enable a DFF on a screen. And when you enable a DFF and capture the values in any particular screen, it gets stored in a attribute columns. If it is a DFF, it gets stored in attribute columns. If it is KFF, it gets stored in segment columns. Okay. And here I've given a query as well to fetch the information from the jobs table, because I thought of showing this use case on the job screen. But since the job screen is not working, I will replace this with grades. So what you can do is you can use this option. You can say per grades, and you can pass in the grade code there.
Hi Prasad, how do I know the page is using which DFF? Like
you have to search with the name. So if you search for job, it will show you the DFF on the job screen. If you search for location, it will show you the location, show you the DFF on the location screen. So this is a query that you can use. I'm pinging everyone in the chat as well.
But still,
we cannot go to the particular page and see which DFF it is using.
No, it will not be available at the page level information. Let me share my screen now. It will not be available at a page. So if you go to manage job screen or manage a grade screen, you might be able to figure out whether there is a DFF or not. So first, all you get to know is whether a DFF is available or not. So if you go to setup and maintenance.
So in EBS, we can go to about this form and we can see, right, like that.
Yeah, that option is not available. Yeah, you cannot also view the table level information also in ERP Cloud. That is again another big downside. So if you create a job, you will be sorry. I've come to job screen again. There is some problem with the job DFF. So ignore this. Go to grade. And if you go to any particular screen for that matter, you will be able to see whether there is a flex field available or not. So if you see a context, that means it's most probably a flex field that is available. If you want to see, there is one workaround. So you don't have a button which you can click to see the descriptive flex field name. But you remember the highlight flex field option that I have explained earlier. So if you click on the drop down, you have got highlight flex fields option. So if you click on it, yeah, I think it probably works only on the transaction screen. Here it's not showing up the flex field type here. So yeah, you probably don't have an option. But once you see a context here, you can be pretty sure that yes, there is a DFF. And what do you do after that? After that, you can go to the screen, go to manage descriptive flex field screen, and you can just type in grade there, and that will show you, that will pull the details and show it to you. So if you look at the flex field code, you will be able to identify what DFF you need to use. There are two DFFs, one for grades and one for grade ladders. If you look at here, when you search for grades, grade is different from grade ladder. Okay, so you have managed grades and you have managed grade ladders. So depending on which screen you want to enable a DFF, if you want to enable DFF on this, you will use the first one. If you want to enable DFF on grade ladder, you will use a grade ladders. But that information will not be available on the screen.
If they put the page name here, it will be good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it would have certainly helped, but that is not available at the moment. Okay, let's look at extensible flex fields now. And how does an extensible flex field work? So this is we have this option only in ERP Cloud. We didn't have extensible flex field concept in eBusinessU. So how does it work? The way it works is, so say for example, if we go back to this, the same use case. We created this grade, or we enabled DFF on the grade segment, and we stored a combination of country and city, right? We enabled DFF and we were able to store a combination of a country and a city. And what if I want to store multiple combinations of country and cities? Say for example, this job that I have created here, let's say this, this grade that I have created here, let's say this grade is valid in Chicago as well as Hyderabad. So this grade should be valid in US Chicago as well as India Hyderabad combinations. With DFF, you can only store one context, and the segments within that context will get enabled, and you can store only one combination of country and city. You cannot store multiple combinations of the flex field segments that you have enabled, even if you want. That is the restriction of DFF. Yes, in DFF, you can enable multiple segments, but you cannot store multiple combinations of the segments. Like if I want to store US Chicago and India Hyderabad on this grade, I will not be able to do it. To overcome that restriction, what Oracle did is it has given something called as extensible flex field. So how does it work? Say for example, if you're creating a location, say for example you're creating a location in ERP Cloud, and say on that location, or you might want to probably tag multiple. You want to enter department related information on the location. You want to probably say that only, or you want to probably capture the departments which can probably use that location. Okay, and a location can be used by multiple departments. So you should be able to store multiple departments on a single location that you're creating. So if that is the case, if that is a requirement, how do you achieve it? Whenever you have to store multiple combination of additional segments that you are enabling, that's when you need to use or think about extensible flex fields. First of all, you need to see if extensible flex field is available on a particular screen or not, and then you go ahead and enable it. And when you enable extensible flex fields, or when you're configuring it, you can select the row behavior. You can select multiple row behavior there, which will let you store multiple departments on a location or multiple records on a single transaction or a setup that you're doing. Okay, say for example, if you're creating a location, let's go to manage location screen. manage locations. And when you're creating a location, say for example, you're creating a location, and when you're creating a location, yes, you would enter all the details that you need here on the location information, and you will enter the address as well for the location. But if you scroll down, yes, if I want, I can also enable, define. I can enable additional segments here as well in case a DFF is available. That is possible. But in case, or even if I enable a DFF, the restriction is that I can store only one combination of it, right? So that is a restriction of DFF. I can store only one record. But if I enable it as a flex field, so if I scroll down, you see that there are extra information and legislative information here. So these two are nothing but extensible flex fields available. So if I expand the extra information, you will be able to see some extensible flex fields enabled by default. So Oracle has enabled them by default. We didn't enable them. So they have come with the application out of the box. Okay. So you could see that there are some seeded ones that are given, and you could also see a couple of custom ones that are enabled. So when I'm creating this location, I want to store, say, I want to tag a couple of departments to this location, or probably to indicate that those departments, or probably to indicate what departments are using this location. I want to capture that additional information. And since there could be multiple departments, I will have to enable it as an extensible flex field, so that if I enable an extensible flex field, it will look like this. A table will be enabled, and the context that the segments that I'm going to enable will show up here. And I can add in, so this gives me an option to add in multiple departments onto a single location, onto the single location. Okay, that is all about EFFs, and that is how EFFs are different from DFFs. So say I want to enable or I want to capture a department related information on a location. Okay, say I want to store department code and a department name. Okay, to indicate what departments are using that location. How do I do it? First of all, I have to come into the screen, and I need to see if these sections are available, if extra information section and legislative information section is available or not. If these are available, that's an indication that yes, there is an extensible flex field. And then you go into search options. You go into the search options. You go to global search, and you search for extensible flex field instead of DFF. And you search for location here. You are able to see two extensible flex fields here: legislative extensible flex field and information extensible flex field. So this information is like extra extensible flex field. So you see two options here, right? Extra information, legislative information. So these two extensible flex fields are showing up here the moment I search for location. Location legislative information, this belongs to this, and this location information belongs to this. So depending on under which section you want to enable the additional segments, you pick up that extensible flex field. Say for example, I want to enable it in additional information screen. So I pick this up and I edit it. Okay. And when you edit it, you will be in the EFFs, you will see something called as category here. So you leave it for now. And all you have to do is first go into the manage context screen, and you will define a new context there. You can create a new context. And we can say FT14 EFF context. And the good thing with EFF is, or the key difference between EFF and DFF is, in EFF you have this behavior available. Here I can select multiple rows. So when I say multiple rows, it will allow me to save, our application will allow me to store multiple combinations of the additional segments I'm going to enable. So I save it. And when you save it, you should get an error message saying that at least one context usage should be defined. So you click on the plus icon and just add in the default value. Go with the default value. So in the dropdown, you will see location. Just select it and you save it. When you save it, the segments button gets enabled. Click on the segments button and you configure a couple of segments there. And what are we going to store? We're going to store the department name and a department ID. Probably we'll store a department ID or a department code. Okay. And since you enabled multiple row behavior, you have to select one of the segments that you are entering as a unique key. Okay. Select department code as a unique key. And what are we going to select? What value set are we going to attach to this? We will attach the format only value set that we have defined. Remember the format only value set we defined, and we have defined this to allow only a number, right? So we will attach this format only value set to the department code so that we understand how a format only value set works. So you click on number here. So if you select data type as character here, you will not be able to use this value set, or this value set will not show up because this value set you have selected only a number option, right? So you select this as number. And yeah, it gets stored in this particular column, LEI information number 1 column. That's fine. Go to the value set and search for it. And what value set do we want to use? I want to use a format only value set. And I can select the display size as 50. And that's it. I want to create another one because I want to add in the department name as well as a second column. So I'll say department name, character, and I'm going to store. So I'm going to tag the department value set that we have created. FT14 independent department value set. And you can select the display size as 20 here. And you can save and close. So this is how you define a new context and enable a couple of segments. We have enabled 2 segments, department code and name, and we have attached, for the department code, we have attached format only value set. So this should not let me enter any varchar value into department code. And for the department name, we should see an LOV and we should be able to see the department values in there since we attached an independent department value set. So you click on save and close and click on save and close again. There are a couple of additional steps that you have to do. So select the category here. There are a couple of steps that you need to do to see the changes, to see the new context that you have defined. So you select the category, there will be a default category in there. And to the category, you need to associate the context that you have created. So you need to add in the context you have created here so that it gets displayed in the application. And after you add the context here, you will add it to the page as well. So 2 additional steps in EFF. Add in the context that you have created. This is the one that we created. Add it in. And after you add in the context, you save it until you don't, and if you forget to save it, if you go to pages, you won't be able to see the context. Because in the pages, we need to tag the context and only the contexts that are in this associated context tab will show up here. So you see extra information in that, and under extra information, you see the seeded ones given by Oracle. And apart from the seeded ones, you could also see a couple of others which are created by students. So let's go ahead and add in a new context here. So let's click on the plus icon and add in the new context that we have defined. Click OK. And you click on save and close. And you can deploy the flex field. And once it is deployed, we can sign out and sign in from the other session to be able to see the changes. So even though we are creating the value sets and configuring the flex fields, you won't be the person doing this. As a technical consultant, you won't be doing this. This will typically be done by functional consultants after getting the requirements from the client. Okay, but we thought it would be better if technical consultants also know how the flex fields work and how to configure them. At max, you might probably have to query the flex field to see what are the fields that are enabled. Other than that, you might probably never define a flex field. Okay, so you can see that flex field is deployed. I can sign out from the application and I can sign in back and come back to the location screen. Okay, so you go back to manage location screen, setup and maintenance. And we can create a location. Let's create a new one. And I will give it a name, STFF on location. And I'll select the address. Because without filling in the mandatory information, you won't be able to save the details. And once you enter the address details, if you scroll down, under extra information, you see that these are the seeded ones given by Oracle. And apart from the seeded and the custom ones, you should be able to see the new context that you have enabled, FT14 EFF context. And you see a table in here, and you see that the department code is marked as mandatory because you mark this as a unique key. Okay, and you click on the plus icon to add in an entry, and you can. Kartik, can you put yourself on mute, please? Okay, so you see that there are two fields that are enabled, department code and department name. And the moment you put your mouse in department code, you could see the format getting defined there. If I say ABC and tab out, you see an error message in there. And what does it say? It says that the format is incorrect. The format should be, what is allowed here is only a number. So that's that's the error that you're getting here. And this is how a format only value set works. You will typically use them to put in a format level restrictions or format restrictions on the fields. So if you say 1, it will work fine. And you look at the department name, and in the department name field, you see the departments in there. And this list is coming from independent department value set that we have attached. You can select a department and add it in. So I'm creating this location, this test location, and this test location can be used by admin department as well as say HR department. So with the DFF, I can only store one row or one combination, but with EFF, I can store multiple combinations, right? So I can click on the plus icon and I can add in a second combination now. So I can say 2 and I can select HR. So this is a benefit of EFF, meaning you can store multiple combinations of the segments on a single transaction or a single setup that you are doing on a single record. You can click on save.
Which table this information is storing for the location?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
So when you click on save and submit it, I've given the query in the PPT as well. So you can use the same query that I have in the PPT. And what are we doing here? We are, since you are storing multiple rows, on a single location. So we say FP14. Open up the location. When you create a location, it gets stored in per locations table. This is a base table for locations. Okay. And since when you create a location, obviously there will be only one entry inserted into locations table. But if you scroll down, how many combinations of departments you have tagged to it? You have tagged 2 departments, right? So I cannot certainly store 2 records on a single record in the location screen. So for that reason, what Oracle did is it has created additional information tables like per location extra information table. If it is a different entity, you have a different extra information tables. For location, it is per location extra information table. And in this extra information table, these 2 records will be stored. And there will be a link between this extra information table and the per locations table in the form of location ID. Okay, so the extra information will be stored in a location extra information table, and per locations is a base table. So you can link up these 2 tables using a location ID column, and you can select the location code that you have enabled. So we'll go ahead and run this query. You go back to the database and you replace the query there. And I'm not sure what context did we use. I'm not sure about the context that we have used. Let's look at the flex field, extensible flex field definition. Go to manage context. FT14 EFF context is what we have used, right? So you copy this context and you replace it in the code. This is the context name and this is a location name. Okay, so if I copy and paste it here, so this is a DFF context and this is a location that you have created. So we are querying the location by its code. And we are getting the location ID from this table, and we are querying this extra information table with that location ID. and we are searching for the extensible flex field records. So if you query this, if you run this query, you will be able to see the information stored. Go to the data tab, and sometimes you might get that error, and all you have to do is come out of the page and get into create a new data model again. Create a new data model. SQL query, HCM, and paste in query. And if you look at the records now, you will be able to see the location that you have created. And for this location, there are 2 records stored in the extra information table, 2 departments, HR and admin department. And you will also be able, and you are also able to see the department code stored. Since this is since you can store multiple values, this information will not be stored in the same base table of the transaction that you are creating. Instead, it will be stored in extra information table like this one, and you have to link it up with the base table. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any questions on what we discussed today?
Nothing at the moment. I sent you a message.
Yeah. I will remind them, Stella, about the material and the recorded videos. But you also send a reminder to this email ID.
Yeah, I already sent them 3 times. Yeah, I can. You give me the email ID.
Okay, so first send an email to this. You said you have already done it and you didn't get a response. If that is the case, I'll give you a number. You can call him up and tell him that you have enrolled in the course, but you haven't received the material yet.
Okay. Yeah, I already called Ravi, right? He's somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you send an email to this to this mail ID. If you don't get a response, call him up. And I will also follow up with them. I'll tell them to share the first code back to all of you who have enrolled. Okay, I'll ask them to do it. And the question, other questions I have in the chat is, I could see one from Ram. Does this the EFF information flow from one entity to other entity by default? Yeah, that information flows automatically, Ram. We don't need to do anything. So it works pretty much the same way as in eBusiness Suite. So when data flows across cycle or from one entity to another entity, attributes will also be moved automatically. Okay, so attributes moved in the sense you will have to configure them up appropriately, and they get flown to the other screens if you want. Saurav, I haven't taken down any notes in this session, so you will have to use the PPT. So you will receive the code pack, and in the code pack you will have all the PPTs. And in the PPT that I have used in today's session, I've used this PPT, right? So this PPT will have the queries that I have used. So I didn't write down any notes in today's session. Okay. And while creating value set, we have selected application for one. Is there? No, you can select any option, Jawahar, for that matter. Application module. It is not pretty much. It is not very important in terms of value set. But when you create a location, it makes a difference. But as far as value sets is concerned, you can pick up application common, or you can pick up any application for that matter. You can pick up HR related application as well. It doesn't really matter. Okay, those are the questions that I have in the chat.
So this is
thanks everyone. We'll meet again tomorrow. And we'll pick up.
Right? Not for the only HCM, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Not only for HCM, we cover all the concepts. We cover concepts from financials, SCM, and HCM here. So you might have seen only examples from, you might have seen a couple of examples from HCM in today's session, but earlier we covered quite a few from financials. So it's a generic Fusion technical training course.
Okay.
Which covers all the modules.
How many days of training it is?
It is again, it is roughly, it includes, it's a techno-functional training. You have, you get 40 hours of technical training and 20 hours of functional training. And this is, I believe, a fifth or sixth class. So if you're really interested in this course, what I recommend is get the first 2 or 3 videos of this batch and go through them. I've covered all the details in there. It's a 60-hour course, 40-hour technical training, 20-hour functional training. And if you ask the training institute, they will send you an Excel sheet which will give you all the details about the course content.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks everyone. We'll meet again tomorrow then.